Hi, my name is Faith Edwards, and I'll be talking about a couple of pretty well known children's books that reinforce gender roles and stereotypes and the implications of these gender roles. The purpose of this project is to examine the gender differences in children's books, and specifically in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about Captain Underpants and Nancy Clancy and how girls and boys and the characters in these books are portrayed and the implications of these portrayals. One of children's first resources for learning about the world and societal values and what society deems as important is through books. So the books that get published and get read to our children need to reflect how we want our children to act, to be socialized. Throughout my research on these gender differences, one of the main points that I saw was that there was a lack of main female characters. With the majority of women, 51% in the world, you would think that having female main characters is not a problem, but just the opposite is true. Most of the female characters in books are side characters or kind of just background characters that may not be as important, and they're there to build the male character up. If there is a lack of strong lead female characters represented in children's literature, then this could reinforce the invisibility of women in society, and the inequality between men and women continues. If these types of books are the ones being read repeatedly to children at night, this can convey to them that these male characters are more important than their sidekicks, or the female characters. There is a study done in the 80s that tested the hypothesis that if children were read a non-stereotypic book and versus a stereotypic book, that they would play with a non-stereotypic toy versus a stereotypic toy if they got read the stereotypic book. And the study ended up supporting this hypothesis that whenever children were read a non-stereotypic book, they would most likely play with a neutral toy like a ball or a pegboard. So whether or not we think that children's books affect how they view gender and gender roles, it really does. Representation in media marks social existence, so women being excluded marks them as non-existent in theory. The target audience for this comparison are kids in elementary school around 2nd or 3rd grade. They're just little chapter books, not very long. So Captain Underpants, the three main characters are boys, little pranksters. They just go around, they're reckless. They go around wreaking havoc pretty much. They have an imagination like no other. And the book is filled with crude humor and misspelled words and things like that. One thing that was important that the author did in one of the books, the boys met their future selves, and Harold was married to a man, and there was nothing said about it. It was not brought up. It was just normal. So that usually never happens in children's books. Nancy Clancy, she's this super girly girl. She wears this pink jacket with rhinestones. She's always all done up. She does these little adventures. In this book, she just tries to help her friend find one of her most prized possessions. She is nice to her parents. She doesn't try to disrespect them. Which is very different from Captain Underpants. Everyone is hostile, etc. All of the communication throughout these books are crude jokes. There may be one or two female characters, and the characters are mean, and the boys don't like them. They're all openly hostile towards each other. That's how all this conflict gets started. All these adventures get started. All the three boys work together. There isn't really like a power struggle. But the main reason behind like their goal is power. So all of their missions are to be like at the top or to defeat whoever. Versus in Nancy Clancy, she has good relationships with the characters. She's nice to her parents. She respects her parents. She's nice to her siblings. She's taught throughout the book that that's how she should act. And there's a power dynamic with her parents and herself. From the research that I've gathered, I've come to the conclusion that these are consistently being portrayed, and these gender roles are consistently being portrayed in children's books, and that women are usually seen doing minuscule tasks, and men are seen doing these big, adventurous things. So it's almost as if the girl is passive and the boy is active, which is not good to see. If girls see this, then they may think that they're unable to do something that they're very capable of, but they don't see it in media, so it's hard for them to understand. One thing that I did find super interesting when I was researching different books, I typed in something along the lines of books targeted at younger girls, and one of the first things that popped up was a book called Be Kind, and my jaw dropped because I had been searching books targeted at younger boys, and nothing like that had popped up. So just things like that where girls are being taught to be nice and kind of like be small compared to the boy where he's acting out and kind of being praised for it. Yeah. Thank you so much.